We are not rich by what we possess, but by what we can do without. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but of how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-imposed immaturity. Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as means to your end. Act as if the maxim of your action were to become, through your will, a universal law of nature. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. A man who is incapable of making a mistake is incapable of anything. Out of the crooked timber of humanity, no straight thing was ever made. The death of dogma is the birth of morality. The greatest human achievement is to continually strive for moral progress. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The greatest wisdom is to know oneself. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe: the starry heavens above and the moral law within. A good will is good not because of what it performs or effects, not by its aptness for the attainment of some proposed end, but simply by virtue of the volition that is, it is good in itself. Always act in such a way that you can also will that the maxim of your action should become a universal law. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. We are not rich by what we possess, but by what we can do without. It is not necessary that whilst I live happily. But it is necessary that so long as I live, I should live honorably. Ingratitude is the essence of vileness. It is beyond a doubt that all our knowledge begins with experience. Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. The mind is furnished with principles of its own, independent of the senses. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. A lie always leaves a trace behind it. Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, always as an end and never merely as a means. In ethics, duties are founded on the laws of humanity and on rational nature as the end in itself. Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. The only thing that can be called good without qualification is a good will. It is not necessary that whilst I live happily, but it is necessary that so long as I live, I should live honorably. It is not enough to do good. One must also do it in the right way, with the right intention. Morality is not about what we desire, but what we ought to do. The only thing that can truly be called good without qualification is a good will. To will something is to commit ourselves to bringing it about, regardless of our inclinations or desires. Man is not only a rational being, he is also a moral being, with the capacity to act according to moral principles. We must not seek happiness directly. It comes as a byproduct of living a moral life. The highest good is the moral law itself, which commands us to act in accordance with reason and duty. We should act in such a way that our actions can be universalized, becoming a law for all rational beings. The pursuit of knowledge is essential, as it enables us to understand and navigate the moral principles that guide our actions. The moral law within us is a source of awe and admiration, as it reflects the universal principles that govern the universe. We should treat others as ends in themselves, respecting their dignity and autonomy. A person's worth does not depend on their possessions or achievements, but on their adherence to moral principles. Our actions should be guided by reason, not by mere inclinations or personal interests. The essence of morality lies in the rational will, which is capable of acting in accordance with universal principles. The moral law commands us to act in a way that promotes the dignity and well-being of all individuals. We have a duty to cultivate our moral character and strive for moral perfection. Acting in accordance with duty may require us to make sacrifices, but it leads to moral worth and fulfillment. Integrity is not merely acting morally in public, but also in private, when no one is watching. We should strive to be rational beings who act in accordance with the principles of reason and morality. Morality is not something imposed upon us from the outside. It arises from our own rational nature and capacity for moral reasoning. Always do these three things to grab women's attention: confidence, good conversation, shared interests.